Oh, unlucky.
G'day Tena Kodo and welcome back to the Anzac Gaming channel. I'm Angelite85 and are loot boxes gambling? Let's have a yarn about that. We have had the ESRB and PEGI state that they stand by the idea that buying loot boxes with real money is not gambling, which means that they do not need to regulate the games that has this by putting the rating of a game up to adult or R18 plus because of it. And you know, more so ideally I would like to see the whole mechanic banned, like not loot boxes in general, but buying loot boxes with real money being banned. Because at the end of the day, parents seem to give less shits about a rating on a game than who the current world champion of League of Legends is. And I say this knowing full well that I have seen parents buy games like GTA 5 and The Evil Within, etc. for their kids who quite clearly look below the age of 15, let alone be under the age of 12. So the mechanic needs to be banned because you can't rely on parents to do what, I don't know. You can't rely on parents to actually give a shit about the ratings on the games anyway. But that's also entirely not limited to just PC and console gaming. I mean this in mobile gaming as well. But, you know, in more recent news, we have had the Belgian government and the Hawaii state legislator and the Victorian Commission for Gambling and Liquor Regulation here in Australia disagree with the ESRB and PEGI and deem them gambling or a predatory business practice. Belgium aren't against microtransactions either, as they have said from what we can gather in the sloppy Google translation. They are for a cash shop that you can see an item, you buy the item, and that item is what you get. No RNG involved. But let's look at the main argument used by the ESRB and the supporters of that argument. Loot boxes are the same as trading cards. So if loot boxes are gambling, then so are trading card booster packs and those gumball machine things. And Kinder Surprises. Now if I buy, we're going to examine this. Okay, we're going to examine this. Now if I buy a $4 Pokemon booster pack, I know it has 10 cards in it. I don't know what cards are in there. So far the similarity here is you buy a loot box has X amount of items in it, you don't know what those items are. Now, let's see what other similarities we can find. Well, if I open the pack, I get no psychological triggers enticing me to go buy another booster pack. No lights and sounds. I have physical items in my hand that have an actual value to them versus a virtual one. And the items actually have worth. They have value. They can be traded. I can take them and say, hey, bud, I see you got that foil Charizard. I've got these 3 foil Pikachus. Would you like to trade? You know, or that Charizard's like worth $10. I will give you $12 for it, or I'll give you $10 for it. Whatever. You can, you know, the card has monetary value to it. You know, it has value and can be traded. You know, you're not losing your $4. You're not pissing it against the wind, essentially. And the worst case scenario is that the cards altogether add up to $4. You know, in their value. As for the gumball machines, you're guaranteed the item that is in there, be it a bouncy ball, a bunch of lollies. You can see inside the machine and see what is there. You still get a bouncy ball or candy. I even had someone say, what about Kinder Surprises, which I mentioned before? Well, you're buying a chocolate egg with a prize in it. You aren't buying the prize. At the end of the day, they are still physical item that has value to someone that collects Kinder Surprise prizes, not a bunch of pixels. And yes, I do consider those claw machines gambling. So, just so we both understand what we're talking about here. Now, as for loot boxes, they're a virtual item that has no intrinsic value outside of that of the player. There is also those queues I mentioned earlier. Which are used to create that excitement and dopamine release to try and keep you buying the loot boxes. And if you get duplicates or items that you don't want, your only option is to break it down, scrap it or whatever to get virtual currency to use and getting more loot boxes in most cases. You cannot trade the items for ones you want or sell them for money. You basically risk your money on the outcome you want, which is the purest definition of gambling seen here from dictionary.com. Regardless of what you get in return, it is still a loss unless it is the item or items you want. I cannot take that currency, then go to a shop to buy the exact item I want. There is the exception, and Overwatch is one of them. I can only exchange that currency after I get enough to have another pull, as it were, and considering if I scrapped all the items in a loot box, it would not add up to a return of the amount I would need to get another loot box. I am always operating at a loss. But you're guaranteed an item, I hear you scream, as yes, I am guaranteed a set of items out of those loot boxes. But the kicker here is, do they have any value to me? If not, or, if I don't or cannot use them because they are for a character or a weapon that I do not use due to my playstyle? The answer here, friends, is no. Let's examine this further. If a casino could get away with just giving you something of no real value every time you placed a bet, so, you place a bet, photo. Here's a photo for placing a bet. This is so that we don't have to comply with gambling laws. Do you honestly think that they wouldn't be doing that now? Like, this is that sort of thing we're talking here. But buying loot boxes is a choice. You can choose not to buy them. Yeah, okay, I can choose not to use loot microtransactions and stuff like that. I can choose not to buy the loot boxes. But at the end of the day, I can also choose to not go to a casino or play the pokies at the bowling club, play Keno or Lotto. It doesn't make them any more or less gambling. But buying a game digitally could be considered the same thing, because, the game, you're risking money for a game that could be crappy. And you just spent $60 or $100 in my case here in Australia, and the game sucks. Well, the game is still a game with value, be it shitty or not. It has no bearing in this case. The game was made, it has costs involved in its production. It is still a good that I have exchanged money for. I am also entitled to a refund within a specified amount of time, like 2 hours for Steam, if I do not like the game. But it's not like I didn't go in knowing what the game was, or what the game was about. So I'm reducing my risks all the way down to net nothing, and even then, with the refund policy in play, my risk of losing money is pretty much zero. If I get a bad loot box, I cannot go to EA and say, I want my money back because the melee weapon that I got in Battlefield 1 loot box was not the one I wanted. Basically, it's tough shit. That is how the dice fell. There are, again, exceptions, being CSGO and Team Fortress 2, etc., as those games you could say have loot box systems that resemble trading cards, as the items have value because they can be bought or traded. They have economic value outside of you, the player. Other players might see, you might have a skin and you go, I don't really use the AWP. Oh, but that person does. Hey, buddy, do you want this AWP skin? I see that you've got this, AK-47 skin that I want. Or, do you play, they might not even play, AK-47 guns. They might go, oh, I play LMG or stuff like that. You can trade the skins over and they have value that is set by the players. But anyway, hope you've enjoyed this video. Hit that like button. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you around like a result. And no hora.